Hey bro, how we doing? Today I wanted to go over my diet, routine, supplement stack, my training, all that good stuff. As a male 22-year-old who has put on 30 kilos, I really wanted to share this with you and just explain to you my days and my weeks and how I go about actually optimizing my life so I'm able to get to this point of where I am now. So it hopefully helps you do the same thing in your journey of gaining weight and gaining muscle and that sort of thing. As I take it, that's why you're here. So let's dive into it. First of all, I just want to actually explain who I am. So my name is Rylan. Like I said, I went from 70 kilos in 2021 to 102 kilos in 2026. I worked as a face-to-face PT for about 3 years now, fully online, where I help skinny guys in their 20s put on size. And I've got 50 on the team at the moment. So I'm working with 50 guys, which is pretty cool. And I'm super grateful to be able to do as well. Biggest lifts, 250 deadlift and a 130 kilo bench press at the moment. So I've got a bit of experience in the gym. So hopefully you'll find my tips and tricks and routines pretty valuable and you can use them for yourself. This is a bit of a photo as to where I was at too. 5 years ago, that was me, probably actually around 2020, about 6 years ago. And this is me now in 2026. So that was actually at the tail end of 2025. I was actually a bit lighter than 90. Than 102, then I was about 95. So that was sort of on my cut. I'm a little bit bulkier than that now, but I do like my photo there. So I'll put that one up. Similar levels of body fat, I guess, to this one here, maybe a bit leaner in this one. Anyway, that is a little bit about me. So let's dive into actually a bit about my routine. My sleep. I do find my sleep quite valuable. And I do think that a lot of guys don't put as much emphasis onto sleep as they should. In my opinion, you should be sleeping at least 8 hours a night. Like, if you're skimping 6 or 7, it's just not going to really cut it for you. But as well, you can't just not think about sleep hygiene either. Sleep hygiene is incredibly important. So my actual bedtime and sleep routine, I'll usually go to bed around 10 p.m. or 10:30 at the latest. And I'll try to be off screens at least half an hour before bed at the absolute latest, but an hour if possible. I'll have dinner around 8 p.m. at the latest. Usually I like to have it around 7 or 7:30, which I'll cover in a second. But I have a big gap between dinner and sleep as well. I try to stay off my phone as much as I can too. I also wear a sleep mask as well, and I make sure my room is as dark as possible. That way I wake up and I feel pretty damn good. I also sleep with the aircon on to make it nice and cold. But I'm always getting at least 8 hours minimum. 8.5 most nights, some nights 9. You know, I've really struggled with sleep a lot in the past. I've always been a really late night person, I guess, but then I switched it as I was doing face-to-face PT, and now my sleep routine is pretty good. Meals, actually, I've written out my meal times, so I'll go over that one in a second. Gym, when do I train? So I train Monday morning, I train Wednesday morning, Friday morning, and Saturday. I actually train around the 9-10 a.m. mark. I don't like to train earlier than that, as the morning is my time to do a bit of work and check in with my clients and get my day set. I like to really set the tone for the day by spending a bit of time on my laptop, on my computer. I'll train around that mid-morning time, around 10, 11 at the absolute latest, depending on the day. But it's always Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And in a second, I'll cover for you my training split and what I do on those days. Like I said, I'm an online coach, so I can do work from anywhere at any time, really. I like to do the majority of my work in the morning though, between sort of around 7:30 to that 9:30 mark. I'll do a block of work. Some days are a lot busier, like Tuesday, I'll be doing check-ins from about 7:30 in the morning till about 11:30, maybe even midday, because I don't really train on that day. And then I'll have a bit of a break, and then I'll be doing some more work from about 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. So most days I'm probably working around 6 to 8 hours. It's nothing too crazy. Or Tuesdays, actually, I will say I'm working the majority of the day, so around 7:30 until sort of 7 p.m. at night. But I would say I work about 6 to 8 hours on average a day doing different things like making content or checking in with clients or making videos like this. But yeah, pump it all out in the morning. In terms of sport, I actually play football twice a week. So soccer on Monday and Thursdays, which the games there are usually around 6 p.m. till about 9 p.m. they can be. And then R&R, rest and relaxation. Usually a lot of my R&R is in the afternoons because like I said, I pump a lot of my workout in the mornings. But what I really like to do to relax, I actually really love playing darts. It's good fun and I find it really therapeutic actually, just throwing darts at a board. I really enjoy watching movies. Like I watched Mad Max Furiosa on the weekend. I watched one called Apocalypto, which was good. But I really like darts. I like jumping in the sauna, jumping in the pool. But the majority of that stuff will be in the afternoon or at night, where mornings are, switch on, work time, middle of the day, switch on work time, night relaxation. That's when I'll usually wind down. I don't play video games or anything. Fuck that. I'm not a huge fan of video games. Maybe you might be. I don't know. I used to be, and then I got too addicted. So I had to stop. About a year ago, I haven't touched video games since. But that's usually like my routine on most days. I'll usually wake up, do a bit of work. I'll take the dog out as well, go to the gym, come back, do a bit more work, might jump in the sauna or the pool, come back, maybe do a little bit more work, and then I'll be done for the night around that 6 or 7 p.m. mark, which would be cool. Let's talk about my diet and what I actually eat during the day. So I eat 3,600 calories roughly on most days, on training days. Especially if I play football like Monday or Thursday, I might eat a little bit more, or depending on how many steps I get in, I also might eat a little bit more. But brekkie, meal one, 916 calories. As you can see, I eat 6 eggs, 4 Weet-Bix, 350 mils of milk, 20 grams of honey, and always an iced long black in the morning. Always love me an iced long black. Really, again, sets the tone for the day. Like, I've been having the same breakfast for probably a year now at least, and it never gets old for me. Pretty much 1,000 calories is done. So that's a big chunk of my food for the day, and it's honestly like not that much food really. Meal two, I usually have 8 pikelets and 30 grams of honey just from the shops. I'll go to Woolies, buy Woolies pikelets, or I'll get Golden Circle or Coles, whatever it is. They're usually around the same macros, but I really like to have these pre-training because it's a really quick source of energy, and it's about 80 grams of carbs, or 94 with the honey actually, but it's usually around that 80 grams of carbs mark. So it actually does like give me quite a lot of energy, which is cool. And I'm able to get through my gym sessions because they're usually quite heavy and intense. But I highly recommend that as a snack pre-training. Even if I'm not training, I'll have it too. Meal three is 1,000 calories, and that's 350 grams of chicken. I'll have butter chicken sauce and jasmine rice, which is super easy to make, really fucking tastes good, and like I'm not having to worry about prepping a million different ingredients, but it's also really macro friendly, like incredibly high in protein, high in carbs, and really low in fat. Last meal of the day, I'll have some steak and rice, literally just steak and rice. Like I'm not a huge fan of veggies, to be honest. I'll be real with you, but I haven't noticed any issues. Like I don't really get sick or anything. I'm usually quite healthy. So to be honest though, steak will contain a lot of micronutrients in it as it is. And my day is still fairly micronutrient dense. So I'm a big fan of my diet. Let me explain the macros to you for a second. So like I said, I'm about 100 kilos. Now you want roughly 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. I like to overshoot that a little bit. There's no real downside to doing that, to be honest. If I was to go like around 300 or 350, then okay, I'd start to feel a little bit bloated and lethargic, but around where I'm at now is pretty good. I really enjoy it, and I have a high carb diet. The fats are not too high. They're sort of moderate fat, because if I'm going to get in a lot of food, I find it easier to get in food if my fats are a little bit higher. If I had them really low, it would be tougher to get down as much. But as well, to be honest, I really like enjoying my food. I mean, I'm not going to take out my butter chicken sauce, or I'm going to keep my fat on my steak as well. I'm going to have my eggs because they're really high in fat. So I find for me, that's a really happy balance, as my training is very like bodybuilding and powerlifting focused. It's not purely aesthetic. So it gives me a little bit of flexibility to enjoy, like to have the foods that I still enjoy and love. It still gives me a shitload of energy for when I'm training, which is good. But yeah, for this, I'm probably gaining about 200 grams a week at this rate, which is good for me and my body weight and how long I've been training for. So then I'll do that for about probably 9 months to a year or so. And then I'll do a bit of a cut, which will be cool. Moving on into training. This is a fun one. So for training, I train 4 days a week, like I said. And what I'll do is I'll basically split it up like upper, lower. I really like doing this as I'm someone who really enjoys training legs, to be honest. But I also have a heavy powerlifting focus within my training too. I really like getting my bench, my squat and my deadlift up. Squat, not so much. I don't care too much about that, but my bench and deadlift mostly I really love. And there's just something about training legs that just makes you feel like so fucked at the end. And I really thoroughly enjoy that feeling. It's kind of weird now that I'm actually saying it. But basically day one will look like bench plus upper. So I'll be doing bench press as my primary lift. And then I'll be doing some accessories along with that, like pec deck, lat pull down, chest supported rows, tricep extensions, bicep curls. So it's basically like chest, back, and arms, which is a really cool day. And I really thoroughly enjoy it. It's good fun. Then day two, I'll do deadlift plus lower, where I'll be doing basically my heavy deadlifts as well as just a bunch of leg accessories. So like hack squat, leg extensions, hammy curls, the adductor machine, the sus machine. But that's my main leg day really, along with deadlifts as the primary lift. Day 3 is my upper day again, but it's more focused around accessories. So I'm doing machines, I'm doing isolated exercise, I'm doing lateral raises, bicep curls, tricep extensions, machine chest press, machine shoulder press, to really focus on that hypertrophy aspect so I can build as much muscle as possible too. But I still have a heavy powerlifting focus across most of my training. That's just like my hypertrophy and accessory day, which I really enjoy. And then squats plus lower body. So I'm doing my heavy squats for the first exercise. I'm doing a tempo squat variation, and then I'm doing a bunch of leg exercises after that as well, like my Romanian deadlifts, my leg extensions, leg curls, I'm doing hyper extensions, doing more abductions. Another heavy leg focus on that day. That way my legs grow pretty quickly, which is cool. But this is the split I'm following at the moment, and I do have a coach that I work with as well who helps me with this stuff. But this is my current split and it works really well for me. Lastly, moving on to supplements. I take creatine, vitamin C, magnesium, Armour Force, and as well pre-workout. I'm gonna put a little asterisk there and I'll explain why in a second. So creatine is great as it'll help you, well, if you've seen my supplements tier list, you'll know how good creatine is. Creatine will help you, or it'll boost your ATP, which is essentially your body's main energy source when doing heavy lifts. So if I'm trying to get my compounds up, this is a great supplement to put in. Vitamin C, just to like support my immune system and make sure I don't get sick, as I like to perform at a high level. So if I'm getting sick all the time, then it kind of sucks, right? So vitamin C, I'll have 2 vitamin C tablets every day, which I find is incredibly useful. Magnesium to support my sleep and muscle recovery. Armour Force, which is essentially an immune system booster. So you can just get them from like Chemist Warehouse or anywhere, but it's just like a little container with some tablets in it, and little bottle, I should say. But you can get 2 versions of Armour Force. You can get one where it stops you from getting sick. So if you take it every day for a couple weeks, you're not going to get sick. You can also take one during your sickness, so it'll help relieve some of your symptoms while you're sick. Armour Force is great if you're someone who does get sick often, then I highly recommend you take Armour Force. It's fantastic. Pre-workout with an asterisk, because I only take pre-workout once a week just for my heavy deadlift day. The majority of the time I am just having a black coffee in the morning. If I have pre-workout while I train, or before I train I should say, I'm not having any coffee in the mornings either, as that is simply too much caffeine for my liking. I'm a bit weird with it, but I really like to limit my caffeine and keep my caffeine tolerance like fairly low. So that's who I am. That is my diet routine and supplement stack. I hope you really enjoyed that and got some value out of today. If you have any questions for me, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I will chat to you very soon.